Divine revelations for you in February. Miraculous blessings are confirmed for the chosen one. As the scent of fresh-baked bread wafted through the air, the village of Willowbrook braced itself for an extraordinary February. Margaret, the devoted grandmother whose faith had always guided her family, stepped into the chapel with a heart full of anticipation. It was there, amidst the flickering candlelight, that she received a divine revelation, a promise of miraculous blessings for her family. The voice echoed in her heart, buoyant and powerful, igniting hope as bright as the sun. She couldn't help but share it, proclaiming passionately to all gathered, "Our blessings are near. We must stand firm in our faith." In the following days, the village buzzed with excitement. Whispers of Margaret's prophetic word filled homes and hearts. The promise spread like wildfire, giving everyone a sense of urgency and spiritual electricity that crackled in the air. "Miracles are coming," villagers declared, clenching hands in prayer as the glory of God seemed palpable, swirling around them. They felt it too, heavenly joy, unexplainable peace. It was an awakening, but as the warmth of faith enveloped them, a shadow fell upon Margaret's home. Her son Samuel fell gravely ill like a dark cloud overtaking a sunny day. Once a source of laughter, his bed became a shrine of sorrow, and the once vibrant home was now a chamber of despair. "What's happening?" the family murmured, their hearts shaken. "This can't be part of God's blessing." Panic surged through them as the village prayed fervently, yet skepticism from the outside loomed ominously. On a cold, stark night, doubts gnawed at Margaret's heart. Would the promise hold? Would they witness the miracles foretold? With each passing hour, arguments erupted among family members. "We can't just pray," cried one. "We must seek help," cried another. And amidst it all there stood Margaret, clutching her prophetic word, a lighthouse in the storm, determined to cling to faith. Yet, in her desperation, she turned to modern medicine, seeking solutions that seemed to slip further from her grasp, efforts that only deepened their turmoil. As days turned to weeks, the house grew heavy with hopelessness. Just when it seemed the embers of faith were dimming, the village organized a candlelight vigil, an oasis of light in their dark season. Souls gathered, spirits lifting as flickering flames illuminated their faces, a sea of candlelight flickering against the night's dark canvas. With each whispered prayer, the air thickened with collective hope. The warmth of community wrapped around them like a protective blanket. "God can bring healing," they murmured, hearts racing, yet doubts still clung to their minds. When the clock struck midnight, something astonishing happened. A surge of vibrant energy filled the air, and like a dam breaking, a miraculous healing unfolded. Samuel rose, a new light sparking in his eyes, laughter spilling from his lips, renewing life into the home that had been steeped in shadows. Yet amid the joy, questions lingered like tense whispers among the villagers. Why the suffering? What had this all meant? While gratitude washed over them, a deeper exploration began. Margaret's heart thrummed wildly. She sensed that what lay ahead wasn't merely about healing, but a profound journey of faith, a lesson they must learn together. As candlelight flickered around them, illuminating faces filled with awe, Margaret pondered what the next chapter awaited, inviting them to explore the depths of a transformative journey the divine had set into motion. As morning light broke over Willowbrook, its gentle rays crept into Margaret's home, illuminating every corner laden with memories and struggles. The warmth of the sun felt like a promise, a divine reassurance after the tumultuous nights of uncertainty. Laughter echoed in the walls now, Samuel's voice ringing with life, a stark contrast to the silence that had shrouded them in despair. Yet even in their rejoicing, the air buzzed with unasked questions. Villagers gathered, candles still flickering in their hearts. They formed small circles, sharing their thoughts and reflections on the recent events. The miracle had ignited a spark within them, a yearning to understand the depths of faith, the balance of suffering and joy. What does this all mean? One villager pondered, looking around at faces filled with hope, yet shadowed by uncertainty. Margaret, standing beside Samuel, felt the weight of their gaze. Her heart swelled. but a tinge of apprehension danced on the edges of her joy. She realized that healing was not just about recovery. It was about a journey, a path woven through the fabric of life, with faith threading each step together. "Perhaps we are called to uncover greater truths," she whispered to Samuel, their eyes meeting in a moment of silent understanding. That afternoon, as sunbeams filtered through the leaves, Margaret gathered a few faithful friends in her backyard. She poured tea while they shared their hearts, each story like a thread delicately woven into the tapestry of their faith. "God has shown us His greatness," one woman said, her voice trembling. "But what about the valley we just walked through? How do we reconcile it?" A hush fell over the group, the question hanging heavy in the air. Margaret contemplated, her mind swirling with emotions. "Is it not in the valleys that we often find the strength to climb higher?" she replied, finding her own voice brimming with newfound conviction. "Our suffering, our doubts, they shape our faith, deepening our connection to each other and to God." The gathering turned into a confessional. Stories spilled out, of losses that once felt insurmountable, of prayers unanswered that had shaped their futures. Each testimony resonated like a hymn, creating a shared understanding. They realized that pain and joy are not opposites, but rather part of a sacred rhythm, a dance between the earthly and the divine. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows over the earth, Margaret felt a stirring in her spirit. "Let us celebrate our miraculous blessings, but let us also remember those who still wander in darkness," she urged. "Let us be vessels of hope for others seeking light." Moved by her words, the group formed an impromptu prayer circle. They grasped hands, the warmth spreading like a charge of divine electricity, their faith entwined. Margaret led them in prayer, her heart resonating with gratitude, yearning to embody the blessings bestowed upon them. "Let our story ignite a beacon for others," she exclaimed, her faith reverberating in the evening light. But there was still a lingering mystery. Would their journey end with the healing, or would deeper revelations unfold? As questions lingered, Margaret felt divine whispers inviting them to a new chapter, one where the treasure of faith would be illuminated through shared struggles and triumphs. As they released their prayers into the twilight sky, a feeling of expectation hung tantalizingly in the air, as if the very heavens were aligning for greater wonders yet to come. What would this next chapter demand of them? What truth awaited to be unveiled in their continuing story of faith? As evening wrapped around Willowbrook, the stars began to peek through the velvet sky, twinkling like promises carried on the winds. Margaret lingered in the stillness, her heart a wellspring of hope and questions. The prayer circle had ignited a flicker within her, a sense of purpose, yet she felt a tugging at her spirit. "What more does He wish to show us?" she mused silently. With Samuel by her side, the two walked through their garden, where the petals of daylilies glowed under the tender kiss of night. "What do you think lies ahead for us, Margaret?" he asked softly, sensing the weight of her thoughts. She paused, looking up at the sky where the moon began to rise, casting silver light onto the earth. "I believe that healing goes deeper than we realize. It's not merely about Samuel's revival. It's about each of us awakening to a truer understanding of our journey." Samuel nodded, contemplating her words while picking a small bouquet of forget-me-nots. "Perhaps," he started, "this is a time for us to start sharing those experiences, to bring our stories forth and let others see the beauty of faith woven through every struggle." Margaret smiled at the idea, feeling warmth bloom within her. Just then, a rustle in the nearby hedges caught their attention. A rabbit peeked out, its innocent eyes glistened under the moonlight. "Look at that," Margaret pointed with a giggle. "Even nature shares in our moment of discovery." Samuel's expression turned serious. "This little creature, much like our community, thrives in the unseen. It challenges us to find beauty and strength even when hidden from direct view." As they strolled back to the house, Margaret felt her heart thumping with renewed vigor. She envisioned a gathering, a night of sharing and storytelling, where the villagers could openly connect their joys and burdens. "Let's invite everyone for a night of fellowship," she declared, her voice filled with excitement, "to dive into our stories and unearth the treasures of faith." Within days, the evening of gathering arrived. Lanterns hung from branches casting a warm, inviting glow. Villagers filed in, hearts eager and filled with anticipation. They settled on blankets spread across the grass, connected and intertwined under the cosmos. Margaret opened the evening with a prayer, invoking a spirit of openness, encouraging the others to share. Stories spilled forth like gentle rivers, flowing with vulnerability and honesty. There were tales of despair turned to joy, faith that had moved mountains, and countless moments where God's hand had been felt directly. The warmth of shared experience wrapped around them, lifting spirits higher with each revelation. Laughter danced alongside tears, all mingling to form a sacred atmosphere. One of the elders, eyes glimmering with wisdom, spoke. "It is in our unity, in our collective hearts, that we catch glimpses of His divine design." As the moon reached its zenith, Margaret felt a stirring within her spirit. Each story was a thread weaving a tapestry of hope, demonstrating that God was ever present in their shared struggles. "When we brave our valley experiences together," she declared, "we become powerful vessels of hope." Just then, a wind stirred through the gathering as if the very breath of heaven graced them. A subtle hush fell over the group, hearts tuned into a deeper longing. Margaret's eyes widened as a soft glow began to embrace them, lighting a pathway not yet traveled. Could it be? She thought. A new revelation unfolding, an invitation to wander even deeper in faith. Margaret realized that this gathering was just the beginning. As they worshipped under the stars, a collective heartbeat as one, an echo of something greater calling them all. What new truths might they unearth together? What hidden dreams lay waiting, just beyond their reach, yearning for discovery? The soft glow enveloped them, and silence reigned, a blanket of holy anticipation draping over the gathering. Margaret felt the pulse of something divine threading through the air, a promise dancing just out of reach. Her heart fluttered as she glanced around. Faces shone with a mix of awe and expectation, mirroring her own inner stirring. Suddenly, a voice broke the stillness, melodic yet firm. It was Jonah, a young man known for his wit and gentle spirit. What if we let this light guide us? What if it leads us toward our truest selves? His question hung in the air, a beacon of hope that ignited a new wave of conversation. "Yes," shouted Edith, a spirited elder renowned for her stories of faith and endurance. "The light beckons us to look deeper. It's not merely for our comfort, but for awakening our hearts to the greater purpose." A gentle hum of agreement rippled through the crowd as villagers nodded and murmurings of insight began to swell. Each person felt it, that unseen thread tying them to something bigger, a divine call that might just transform their lives. "We must not just gather," Samuel spoke, his voice steady and clear, "but be brave enough to step into the light, to embrace what God has placed before us." His words resonated with the crowd, moving them closer together. They were not bound by their individual struggles, but united in their desire to discover more about themselves and about God. Margaret felt a tear slip down her cheek, a mix of joy and wonder. What might he reveal? She wondered. A spark ignited within her, pushing her to stand. Let us share not only our stories, but our prayers. What do we need to lay down tonight, and what do we wish to bring forth? One by one, villagers voiced their fears, their burdens, and their dreams. A mother spoke of her struggle with loss, longing for wholeness again. Another shared how hope had dimmed in their life and how they yearned to reclaim it. Each confessional grazing their hearts, creating a palpable connection woven tightly together by shared humanity. The air thickened with emotion and anointing as the soft light grew brighter, pooling around them, igniting their spirits. A wave of encouragement swept through. It was a collective surrender, a letting go of past hurts, a drawing near to the light. Margaret closed her eyes, inhaling deeply. "He is here among us," she exclaimed, her voice rising with fervor. "This is not merely an evening of stories. It's a revival. God is preparing our hearts for His purpose, healing us in our vulnerabilities, and opening us to His expansive love." A round of joyous applause and laughter erupted, echoing into the quiet night. They were filled with warmth, a palpable sense of hope lifting them higher, soaring into the cosmos above. The villagers were a chorus of renewed spirits. The glow began to pulsate rhythmically. Margaret, standing in the center of this miraculous moment, felt a wave of peace sweep over her. An unshakable assurance whispered through her heart. What if the revelations tonight lead to a greater understanding of our mission? Right then, something shifted. The light transformed. It cascaded into vibrant colors that spiraled around them, encouraging their hearts to wonder. What wonders awaited? Each revelation stirred a sense of excitement, an assurance that they had merely touched the surface of what lay ahead. Their gathering echoed through Willowbrook as the village drifted into deeper unity, nurturing an insatiable desire to uncover God's intention further. What else are we to discover? Margaret thought, her heart racing with anticipation. Could this night of sharing be the starting point of something even greater? A chance to awaken the dreams God had sown in the hearts of his children? A moment that could shatter the status quo and cradle them into a new chapter of faith and connection? With every heart alight with questions, Margaret felt stirred within. They were on the brink of discovery, awaiting the next divine encounter. But what awaited them in this unfolding journey? The atmosphere shifted, thickened with expectancy, as the vibrant colors danced around them like angels celebrating a deep truth. Margaret opened her eyes and marveled at the sight. The faces of her fellow villagers glowed with an otherworldly light. It was as if each person reflected a piece of the divine essence that enveloped them. "Let us not stray from this moment," Jonah called out, his voice steady with conviction. "We've been awakened. We cannot simply let this be an isolated event. Our hearts have opened, and we must fan the flames of what God ignites tonight." Their spirits filled with urgency, a longing to explore this sacred moment together. The light pulsed like a heartbeat, a divine rhythm guiding them toward something beautiful, profound. "Who will lead us in song?" Edith's voice rang out, a reminder of the power of praise. Right away, a familiar melody swelled, and soft voices joined together in harmony. While the music filled the air, the colors softened to hues of gold and lavender, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. Each note resonated with the longing in their hearts. Margaret felt a newfound clarity bloom within her, a stark realization that the journey ahead would require courage and faith beyond what they had known. As the villagers sang, laughter erupted, mingled with tears, creating a tapestry of emotion that swirled in the divine light. Samuel, still standing in the crowd, raised his hands high, his heart alive with gratitude. "This is the start," he proclaimed. "We are chosen, dear friends. Let us surrender our fears and believe in the miracles that await us." Margaret glanced up at the brilliant display of light above, reflecting their collective hope and expectation. With each harmonious note that rang out, she sensed the past falling away, the burdens of yesterday loosening their grip on her heart. Then, in the midst of their song, a hush fell over the gathering. An unexpected silence drew their eyes toward the center of the pulsing light. It solidified, forming a radiant figure, ethereal, yet familiar. It was like standing before a friend they had yet to meet, yet recognized entirely. "Beloved children," the figure's voice echoed gently, weaving through each heart like a soft breeze. "You have gathered with earnest hearts, and I am here to fulfill the promise that you seek." Margaret's breath hitched. Was this truly happening? The presence was so palpable, a sweet mixture of joy and awe filled her veins. She could see others kneeling down, taken by the overwhelming weight of divine love washing over them. "This is a new season," the figure continued, "a time for awakening and unearthing the dreams buried within you. You are not alone in this journey, and every prayer voiced this evening has reached the heavens." As tears streamed down her face, Margaret felt an inexplicable warmth wrap around her, a knowing that the dreams and fears they gathered to share were heard and cherished by the divine. Each soul present was being cradled in compassion. But then the presence began to fade. "Be ready, for I shall reveal more," it whispered. "Not only on this night, but in the days to come. The true nature of your calling awaits. Are you willing to embrace the unknown?" With that, the radiant figure melted back into the kaleidoscope of light, leaving the villagers breathless yet hopeful. "What comes next?" she thought, a question lingering in every heart. a yearning to uncover not just what was said, but to witness the unfolding of God's grand design in their lives. In their hearts they felt a stirring, a decision to step forward with newfound faith, ready to embrace the uncertainties ahead. What would they discover on this precious journey of faith? What miracles awaited them as they embarked on the path that lay ahead? The village remained electrified, a holy hum palpable in the air, ushering them into the uncertainty of the night. Margaret stood among her friends, her heart racing. What does it mean to embrace the unknown? It triggered a familiar tension within her. Excitement mingled with fear. "Let's gather and share our hearts," Jonah suggested. His eyes gleamed with determination. "What has the light revealed to you?" The villagers formed a circle, seeking one another's eyes, sharing the warmth of their presence. Each face glimmered with an inner light, each pulse of hope reverberating like the soft thrum of a drum, guiding them on a sacred journey. Edith stepped forward first, her voice trembling yet resolute. "I felt a stirring deep within, like a seed of hope longing to sprout. I believe we are called to something greater than ourselves. It is time to share our gifts with the world." Nods spread around the circle, affirmations echoing in quiet murmurs. Margaret felt her own heart flutter at the thought, each one of them crafted with purpose, holding pieces of a beautiful puzzle. Next, Samuel shared, "Tonight I sensed an urgency, an invitation to let go of our fears and step into our shared destiny. We've been hesitant, thinking our offerings too small. But think of the impact we could have if we unite our voices, our dreams." He inspired a wave of passion that rustled through the gathering, courage weaving itself into the fabric of their collective spirit. Margaret's heart ignited. "What if we commit to exploring our calling together?" she suggested, her voice finding strength. "Can we not seek out those in need, a school of little souls yearning to feel loved, a neighbor carrying a heavy load?" The idea sparked something profound. Soft gasps greeted her words. The colors around them seemed to brighten, shimmering with affirmation. Edith's brow furrowed. "But what if we fail? What if the vision leads us to pain?" "Even in pain there is purpose," Jonah countered gently. "Growth often emerges through struggle. What's life without the trials that call us to greater faith? We have the ability to embrace the beautiful mess of being human together." His words resonated deeply, drawing out murmurs of agreement. Hope, like a fertile soil, began to take roots within their souls, nourishing the dreams they yearned to walk toward. With each sharing, the cords of their hearts intertwined like a tapestry. They stood for a moment in silence, the weight of shared faith settling upon them as a sacred cloak. Each breath was filled with anticipation of what might blossom from their new resolve. But suddenly, a cool wind swept through the gathering, another whisper of divine presence echoing softly around them. They turned to the place where the light had once shimmered, devoted hearts straining to catch a glimpse. "Ready yourself for the unexpected," it whispered, a gentle caress brushing against their skin. "Your journey will be transformative. Trust each unfolding, even when the road seems uncertain. Embrace the miracles ahead, but be wary of your own doubt. It hides in shadows." The wind dissipated, leaving behind a stillness that hung thick with mystery. The villagers waited breathlessly, awash with spiritual energy that surged within them. "What shadows do we still carry?" Margaret pondered, a wave of introspection washing over her. Were they ready to confront the fears that could halt their journey? The question lingered, tapping gently on the walls of their hearts. As dawn approached, the promise of their collective journey began to take form, beckoning them forward into a wild, unknown future. What would they face as they responded to the call? Embracing the uncertainty might reveal hidden truths and cherished dreams, but what sacrifices lay ahead? They didn't yet know, but they were willing to find out together. As the dawn's first light spilled golden across the village, Margaret felt an electric warmth weave through the air. The weight of the night lifted, and with it came a breath of new beginnings. She sensed the stirring of something beyond her understanding, a divine pull urging her forward. "Let's set out," she said, her voice steady and full of conviction. "Let us share not only our hearts but our hands as well. We can start within our own village." Excitement crackled between her and her friends like a live wire. Jonah nodded, his brow set in determination. "We'll seek out those who feel unseen. Every heart we touch is a step towards that greater purpose." The villagers dispersed, their laughter mingling with the fresh morning air. Samuel headed toward the edge of the village where the elderly lived alone. Edith wrapped a shawl around her shoulders and chose to check on a neighbor known for his quiet sadness. Margaret found herself drawn to the school where children gathered, their joyous shouts echoing. She approached the teacher, whose weary smile reflected years of tireless devotion. "Can we help?" she asked, feeling a warm pulse of faith resonate within her. "We'd love to read, to play, to lift spirits." The teacher's eyes glistened with gratitude. "Thank you. I worry they don't know how much they are loved." Margaret's heart swelled. Here was the first step into the unknown, extending their hands, embracing possibilities and inviting joy. As she engaged with the children, laughter bubbled up, wrapping around the pain that had once filled the air. Yet a voice within surfaced, laced with hesitation. What if they weren't enough? What if their efforts fell flat? The shadows of doubt tugged at the corners of her mind. With each story shared and every hug given, Margaret felt the divine whisper, soothing her spirit. "Do not fear. You are not alone." As the sun climbed higher, Samuel and Edith returned, filled with stories of connection, of lives touched, hearts opened. Each encounter served as a testament to their collective purpose. The village lit up in anticipation, energized by their shared experience. However, the undercurrent of unspoken fears remained. They gathered once more, this time sitting upon the grass, sunbeams dancing around them like playful spirits. "I can't shake this feeling," Samuel confessed, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "What if our love isn't enough for those in real need? What if we fall short? Or what if our love ignites change beyond our understanding?" Jonah countered. "We are being called to step forward, to shine. Even if we only touch one heart, it matters." Margaret listened intently. Shadows loomed, but so did the light. Each voice shared not just concerns but vulnerabilities that bound them closer together. Edith looked at Margaret, her eyes bright with fervor. "Perhaps it's in our willingness to be vulnerable that the real gift lies. We don't need to be perfect, we just need to show up." The possibility was intoxicating. They could be imperfect vessels, filled with the imperfect love that God offers. As they mixed laughter with tears, a profound unity enveloped them. They understood that together they could face uncertainties. Margaret happened to glance at the horizon where the sky melded with colors yet to be named. "Shall we pray?" she asked gently. They bowed their heads, drawing closer in spirit, a sense of sacred vulnerability blossoming like petals in worship. As whispers of prayer rose to the heavens, a sudden stillness wrapped around them like a soft embrace. In that silence, a flutter of wings brushed against them, as if angels convened mid-air, awaiting their next step toward divine revelation. What would follow their prayers? Would they find the strength to embrace the difficult journeys ahead? Each heartbeat, every breath echoed. Trust. Trust. Uncertainty sparkled with promise, beckoning them forth toward love, trust, and the beauty of becoming. Little did they know, the next challenge awaited, shrouded in mystery. Would they have the courage to rise to it? As they lifted their heads from prayer, a palpable electricity filled the air like a pot set to boil. Margaret could feel a torrent of anticipation swirl around them. The moment felt sacred, charged with a promise that only revealed itself in the stillness of their gathering. "Did you feel that?" Jonah asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Each of them nodded, a collective recognition of the divine moment they had just shared. Margaret, with hands clasped still in prayer, broke the silence. "It's as if something is waiting, something beyond our understanding." Each word was heavy with reverence. She was beginning to see the threads of their purpose woven into the fabric of every encounter. As if cued by her words, a commotion erupted from the direction of the village square. Curious, they rose to their feet and made their way toward the noise, hearts pounding with newly ignited hopes and fears. Upon arrival, a handful of villagers had gathered, their faces painted with concern. At the center stood the village elder, his brow wrinkled with worry as he surveyed a scene that couldn't have been more alarming. A family, once filled with laughter and warmth, now seemed enveloped in despair. The father sat upon the ground, head in hands, his wife kneeling nearby, eyes red and swollen. Margaret's heart sank at the sight. "What has happened?" she asked the elder, stepping closer. "It's Thomas and Clara," the elder replied, voice thick with emotion. "Their youngest, little Leo, is gravely ill. The healer says there is little hope. They are lost in darkness." A heavy silence followed, broken by the distant sound of a child's weak whimper. On instinct, Margaret placed her hand on Jonah's shoulder and he met her gaze, eyes wide with understanding. They knew what they had to do. "Let's go to them," she murmured, steeling herself against the sorrow pressing in. "We can offer our love. We can pray." As they approached, Samuel went first, kneeling beside Thomas. "Brother," he said softly, "we're here. We want to help you carry this burden." At the sound of Samuel's gentle voice, Thomas looked up, his eyes filled with both gratitude and despair. "I fear I am losing him," he choked out. "My heart knows not how to keep hope alive." Margaret placed her hand on Thomas's back, connecting their hearts in an unspoken bond. "We are here with you," she offered, her voice steady despite the trembling within her soul. "Let us pray for little Leo together." The group of friends formed a circle. In that moment, the air thickened with purpose, each heart united in a single plea. They prayed fervently, voices rising in unison, a powerful chorus wild with love and faith. "Lord, may your will be done. Reach down, touch Leo, restore his spirit. Grant comfort to Thomas and Clara." Their prayers echoed like music through the square. For each round of supplication, the atmosphere brightened, as if divine light pushed against the clouds of sorrow. When they concluded, a hush fell over the crowd. In that stillness, they looked to the elder, who was now watching with wide-open eyes, a spark of something igniting behind the worry. "Did you feel that?" he whispered. "It's almost as if—" Suddenly, a gentle breeze swept through, carrying with it the soft, sweet scent of blooming flowers, an unheard promise from the heavens. But just as quickly, fear tumbled back in. What if their plea went unheard? What if love wasn't enough? As they wrestled with uncertainty, Margaret felt a warmth envelop her heart, turning doubt into a spark of something beautiful. "Let us not lose hope. God is with us." With a sudden flicker of breath, a soft cry broke through their thoughts. It was Leo. Drowsy and pale, he stirred in Clara's arms, his little fingers searching for light. But the journey was only beginning. What awaited them through this miracle? Would they discover that each act of love would open a door to even greater wonders? The rising tension mingled with promise, pulling them deeper into the unfolding mystery. Would they have the courage to embrace what was yet to come? As Leo's fragile voice pierced the heavy air, the crowd leaned in closer, heart-skipping beats in a mix of relief and trepidation. Clara held him tighter, her eyes wide with disbelief. Chills raced down Margaret's spine as she witnessed the golden thread of hope weave through despair. In that moment, it felt as if angels danced all around them, whispering promises of restoration. "Leo!" Clara's voice trembled. It was a sound steeped in both fear and joy. In her embrace, Leo began to stir, blinking at the world as if emerging from a deep sleep. Samuel leaned closer, awe painted across his face. "Can you hear him?" he breathed out. "He's waking up," Jonah exclaimed, his voice a mixture of disbelief and excitement. Hope began to ripple through the onlookers like a gentle wave on the shore. "Let us not forget," Margaret reminded gently. "He remains fragile. We need to keep praying, keep believing." She could feel the weight of responsibility resting on their shoulders. a reminder that even in moments of apparent miracle, faith requires endurance. Thomas, still on his knees, raised his tear-streaked face toward the heavens. God, thank you. Thank you for granting us even this flicker of hope. His voice cracked with emotion, resonating through the hearts of the gathered villagers. Margaret took a step closer, wanting to capture this moment. May this be a beginning, she murmured, barely loud enough for those around to hear. But it was as if her words propelled their hearts toward the next dimension, setting the stage for what was to come. As Leo's small fingers twitched and curled around Clara's hand, the breeze continued to swirl around them, feeling almost alive, a comforting embrace from above. The sweet scent of flowers intensified, wrapping itself around the villagers, assuring them that something miraculous lay ahead. But beneath the joy, an undercurrent of anxiety pulsed through the hearts of Margaret and her friends. What if Leo's recovery was only the beginning of an even greater struggle? What if their silent prayers had awakened more than hope? Margaret's eyes focused on Leo's face, searching for signs of the spirit she had prayed for. Lord, may this miracle steer our hearts toward your will. Her silent supplication joined the others, a mere whisper urging against the tide of uncertainty. In the quiet that followed, Leo's gaze grew clearer, letting his family's faces sharpen in focus. He blinked slowly, taking in the worried expressions surrounding him. Mama, he croaked softly, almost as if testing his voice. Clara's smile broke wide open, tears glistening like dew. I'm right here, darling. We're all here. Relief coursed through her, a thread connecting their hearts in unity. Suddenly, the elder stepped forward. This is no small miracle, he announced, voice firm. We must gather the village to celebrate, to give thanks for what we have witnessed today. Excitement rippled through the group, igniting the flames of faith anew. But as they turned toward the village, the air thickened again with that subtle electricity they had felt before. What awaited them in the square? A celebration could draw forth more than just joy. What revelations might unfold from their thankful hearts? Margaret's intuition tugged at her. Could it be that this miracle was merely a gateway to something greater for their entire community? What blessings lay on the horizon, ready to be uncovered? As they made their way back, the hope surged, but so did an undertow of apprehension. Would they be prepared for the fullness of what God might reveal next? The journey toward understanding was only just beginning. What divine mysteries awaited them in the light of this miraculous moment? As the villagers gathered in the square, the atmosphere thrummed with excitement, like the static before a storm. Margaret stood near the center, her heart racing as she watched families unite in pure jubilance. Samuel, Jonah, and Edith joined her, their eyes shining with hope. We've witnessed a miracle, Margaret declared, raising her voice to catch the attention of the crowd. And with that comes a calling. Let us share our joy and our gratitude together. A wave of applause and cheers erupted, echoing through the village like a sweet symphony of faith. Leo, still wrapped in Clara's loving embrace, gazed around with wide-eyed wonder. The flicker of his spirit was palpable. Life danced in those little fingers now gripping his mother's hand. Mama, I'm hungry. His innocent plea sent ripples of laughter through the crowd, and with joy, they embraced every moment of this miracle. Margaret felt a warmth swell within her, a divine reassurance that their journey was only beginning. She looked around at her friends, the steadfast community who had weathered storms together. Let's not forget the valleys that brought us here. Let's remember those still in darkness. Her voice pulsed with urgency. It was time to weave the struggling pieces into a new tapestry of purpose. The elder stepped forward, his wise countenance solemn yet glimmering with pride. Tonight we will not only give thanks, we will ignite a movement, a call to arms for our faith. Edith echoed. We must take this miracle to those who need hope. Let us reach out to the lonely, the sick, the lost. Let us be the fruit of this divine blessing. A loud cheer cascaded through the crowd as hands raised in agreement, an electrifying unity flowing like a river through their hearts. Margaret could feel the divine alignment, a whispering promise that resonated in every soul present. It was clear. They were chosen to carry the light, to bring hope where it was needed most. That's it, yelled Samuel, stepping forward. enthusiasm bubbling in his veins. "We can organize teams to visit families who never feel seen. We will gather supplies, laughter, and prayers. Let's shine our light into every corner of Willowbrook." Excitement blossomed like spring flowers. Plans for food drives and prayer gatherings sparked conversations, and the warmth of community wrapped around them tightly. Margaret knew that their mission was set. They weren't just blessed, they were empowered. In the days that followed, the village transformed into a vibrant tapestry of love in action. Homes filled with laughter echoing through the walls, shared meals that brought healing, and conversations that breathed life back into weary souls. Margaret watched in awe as a once quiet village learned the essence of sharing their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs. But as they stepped into this new chapter, shadows still lingered. Margaret felt them pressing against her heart, doubts creeping in about sustaining this fire. One night she wandered alone through the garden, moonlight painting her path. She knelt beside a small patch of struggling blooms, feeling the pulse of creation beneath her fingertips. "Lord," she whispered, her heart opening like a flower. "How do I maintain this spark? How do I ensure that we keep our eyes on you through it all?" A gentle breeze brushed against her cheek, almost like a hand caressing her face, giving her no more than stillness in response. But within that quiet peace, she understood one thing. It was not about perfection, but seeking love, sharing it, and cultivating trust that would guide them. That weekend, they organized a gathering, a culmination of their efforts to spread joy. Lanterns lit the night sky, twinkling like stars that spilled down upon the earth. Music filled the air, and laughter intertwined with heartfelt prayers. As the crowd danced under the moonlight, the spirit of joy beamed brightly. Margaret stood among them, her heart swelling with gratitude. Samuel approached, his eyes gleaming. "Can you feel it? The love that's grown like roots underground?" "Yes," she breathed out, awe washing over her. "And I can see it in every smile, the light multiplying." Jonah grabbed her hand. "We're more than just a village now. We're a family, bound by our commitment to one another." As the sun dipped below the horizon, they gathered in a circle, hands clasped. Margaret led them in prayer, urging each soul to express their gratitude and ask for guidance. In unison, they lifted their hearts toward the heavens, believing that their shared purpose would illuminate the way forward. When the prayers concluded, an electric silence hung in the air, vibrantly alive. Just then, a breeze swept through, and for a moment, it felt as if the heavens themselves exhaled, blessing their gathering. In that sacred silence, Margaret understood. This community was no longer just about surviving miracles. It was about living them. As days turned to weeks, the once plagued village shone with newfound strength. Neighbors who were once strangers became woven together through every act of compassion. Every shared burden transformed into a beautiful testimony. They were no longer bound by fears, but lifted by faith. Margaret knew deep in her heart that this journey was a testament to divine love, a love that kept igniting within them. They were forever connected, forever moving towards the light, holding faith closer than before. In her quiet moments, she would often glance skyward, feeling the pulse of divine whispers dancing around her like petals in the breeze. "Thank you, Lord," she would breathe, enveloped in gratitude. For the struggles, for healing, and for this beautiful community thriving in your love. As they embraced life filled with divine purpose, whispers of the next chapter began. She looked forward to the dawn of new stories they would create together, the expanding wave of faith that promised to draw even more lives into its wondrous fold. With each prayer, each act of kindness, they wove a larger tapestry of hope. Their journey would continue, daring to uncover even more magnificent miracles, waiting to be revealed in the days to come. Now deeply entwined in their calling, the villagers of Willowbrook stood ready, hearts ignited, eyes set on the horizon, embracing the adventure of what was yet to unfold. And indeed, it was just the beginning. Now, dear friends, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss the next set of exclusive faith stories to uplift and inspire you further. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help share this message of hope. Comment your reactions to this ending and share your own testimonies about how faith has transformed your life. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. Only true servants of God understand the importance of spreading the light.